The topic is going to be the new era of compliance. This will be conducted by Ms. Suramya Choudhary, Director of Binary Semantics and co-founder of GSTrobo. Let me give a small brief about her. Ms. Suramya is redefining the fintech landscape in India with a vision to simplify tax, finance, and compliance for modern businesses. She has been instrumental in enabling GSTrobo to serve over 1,500 enterprises, helping them streamline operations and stay ahead of the regulatory challenges. Ms. Suramya is passionate about leveraging India's digital infrastructure to build an inclusive, innovation-led tax tech ecosystem and empowers businesses and drives sustainable growth. With this, everyone, let's give a huge round of applause and let us welcome them on the dais. Please, everyone, show us some energy. Come on. It's the morning and everybody is energized enough. All right, with this, can we have ma'am on stage, please?
Thank you everyone for joining us today. And I think I would just like to start by saying, in the world of compliance, silence is success because the loudest noise happens when something goes wrong, right? I think everyone would here relate to this statement. So what we are here for here is let's leave behind the era of last minute scrambles, midnight logins, and patchwork compliance fixes. Let's look at and change our approach towards how we are looking at compliances so far, right? So we have to work towards that. Now, imagine a system where we are not looking into monthly marathon and doing our compliances as a daily routine. We are automating and doing our compliances proactively into our systems itself. So what we really need to look at is how the systems from the government side has been changing and how the landscape is changing, that is actually pushing us to become more proactive while taking our decisions and try to build everything in our daily routines, right? So let's look at some of the changes that has happened in the last few months from the government side. So one of the big changes that has happened is from April 1st, the companies are mandated to report within the 30-day period for all the invoicing. Now, what this will change is that every company or vendor that you might be working with, all the invoices will be available in your system as is and will all be auto-populated, which will ease our compliance for claiming ITCs, right? Moving on, there has been changes in the credit note segment as well. So where credit note wherein the credit note ITC must be reversed, what is happening is that that it is reducing the that the reduction of the taxes should happen immediately. So if you're not doing that immediately, then there will be a problem. So this will create more burden in terms of communication between the buyer and the sellers. You have to be more synchronous, do it even more faster than you were doing it earlier. Now, moving on, there has also been a change in terms of that there will be 10% mandatory penalty for the demand related queries. For any of the organizations where there were multiple GSTNs, you have to now take an ISD registration as well. Now, this is also a boon for us as we have been changing or allowing RCM based interstate ITC to be distributed via ISD, which was a pain area for us earlier. So that is a positive change for all of us that has come into play. Now, on top of that, GSTR1, which is a new return that was also introduced, which led to a lot of changes or regular or basically reporting all the GSTR1 changes or corrections that were required within the same return period instead of postponing it for the next return period. Other new changes that has come up is that the government has also is also planning to release the new notice APIs, which is soon going to be available, which are also going to ease a lot of pain in terms of tracking, receiving, and manually managing the GST notices. And we are all, lastly, I think we are all aware about the IMS and invoice management system, which came quite a few months back, and it has been a transformative backbone for how e-invoices, reconciliation, and ITC claims were supposed to be handled. Now, we are basically tying all this system flow and compliance and checkpoints into a live responsive system that is going to be a game changer for everyone. Now let's look at what has happened. So we'll just do a small recap of invoice management system before we get into the practical challenges that has occurred for the people who have adopted IMS in the last 6 to 7 months. So looking forward, IMS basically what it exactly does is whenever an invoice or a platform, whenever an invoice is raised or it is reported in the e-invoicing platform, it is automatically available in the IMS. Now that can be accepted by the buyer, and it can be accepted by the buyer immediately within the same return period, and that will be available in your GSTR2B simultaneously. Once it is available in your GSTR2B, you can then, it will automatically populate in your GSTR3B, therefore nothing needs to be done in the 2B side. Anything that is left as pending will be, you can carry forward that process to the next month. Anything that you mark as rejected will trigger a new flow, basically raising a question at the supplier or requiring a communication with the supplier, where supplier will need to correct within their GSTR1 or 1A depending upon the time of the month, and then ultimately you will be able to claim that invoice through your buyer IMS. So that's a small recap of what held in the invoice management system, and some of you in the audience would have already started using, so you might have experienced some of the practical challenges that have been rising in the last few months. So let's talk about some of the practical challenges that we have been facing and what is the way to mitigate all these challenges, right? So first of all, I think to start with, if we have started IMS reconciliation, we might have experienced this problem of wherein ITC claims for the past periods have not been, for that you will have to still refer to GSTR2B, and anything that is coming in your GSTR, that is coming in your IMS is for the current period. So now what we really need to do for that is that we have to run the IMS and 2B reconciliation simultaneously. We have to do 2 parallel reconciliations unless and until we have all as an industry moved towards IMS, when we and all the past ITC claims that are currently present in 2B are closed. Only then we will be able to reduce it back to single reconciliation. Now moving on, the second challenge that has arisen in IMS is that ITC cannot be claimed unless and until supplier corrects it within the same month, right? So if the supplier does not make the correction within the same month, it is still getting postponed to the following months. Another big problem that has come along with that is, let's say your team by mistakenly clicks a rejection button on the IMS system. What happens is that ITC, that legitimate ITC will also not be available for you to claim within the same month. That will require you to burden you to communicate with the supplier to get it uploaded again. So there has to be more caution and informed decision towards IMS reconciliations that we are doing. Finally, the third problem that has come up is that there are some transactions that cannot be marked as pending in IMS. That we were marking as pending during our earlier reconciliations with 2B. These transactions are like original credit notes that cannot be deferred, so that has to be claimed within the same month. this forces all of us towards creating some internal SOPs and edge cases for all the particular scenarios that arise while doing IMS. Now, so although IMS is powerful tool that is bringing visibility and control, it is all and the way that we interact with compliance, these challenges are just operational, and they are just going to bring or let our teams think, respond, and prepare together for the changes that are coming ahead. Sorry. So this is where our actual internal preparedness needs to come into play. Now, what exactly all these challenges or these problems can be resolved through, right? So the only answer is technology, automation, and AI. I think we have all been hearing throughout various sessions so far. The government's workflows are not just demanding one-time monthly reviews that we have been doing so far. It is actually asking us to do continuous reconciliation, continuous monitoring as soon as the invoices fall into our system. Now, here I think the use of AI comes as a key transformation within our organizations that we need to adopt. The modern systems cannot just rely on simple one-time Excel uploads. We really need to work towards how we can automate, come out of Excels and automate our systems and create workflows that are doing tasks for ourselves. Now, here comes obviously the well-known word that I think we all would have heard, AI agents, and they can help us initiate or create some communication, supplier communications, or track our responses and close the loop closely and efficiently for our processes that we are running. Also, we will need to have end-to-end visibility for this period, right? Now, while doing 2B reconciliation and doing your IMS reconciliation simultaneously, if you have started doing both, you would require an integrated visibility towards both your reconciliations, and that can be offered by the modern systems that we are providing today. These systems are practically really important for us to have compliance accuracy. We do not want more notices to come through our system, right? So we all need to work towards this automation and get our level of complexity to near zero for all of us, and focus more towards building more growth and so moving on, I think some of the early adopters of, like we earlier discussed, some of the early adopters of IMS have struggled a lot in terms of claiming or rejecting some of the invoices by mistake, right? But this can also be salvaged within the same month. Providers, our suppliers are also very proactive. So we all together need to become more proactive and create an agility and collaboration environment where both parties or all parties need to embrace this proactive compliance and adopt returns like GSTR 1A, rather than simply relying on a passive methodology of correcting our issues in our GSTR 1 in the next month, right? So GSTR 1A is actually playing a vital role in all this process. Although this return being non-mandatory currently, it is of strategic importance that we all adopt this return. This is going to not just ensure to reduce the discrepancies that are happening across the ITC claims, help maximizing all our ITC claims, and create lesser and lesser complications for our future returns. So this is a need for more forward-looking and tech-enabled approach towards real-time invoice tracking that we all need to adopt. So if we look ahead, so currently already our 3B is getting pre-filled as a process with all the GSTR1 data, right? So once government has also postponed and may soon also come up with that method of locking the data that is already pre-filled in the system. So why not adopt GSTR1A today instead of waiting for tomorrow and hoping that whenever it gets mandatory, then we'll go and change our systems. So it is an ultimate need for us to be ahead of the curve instead of looking back and saying that what if I would have done this earlier and it would have made my life easier today. So why wait? We should all start being compliant right now, since the tools are already available for us to stay ahead of the curve. Now, how do we actually incorporate these changes into our workflow, right? We want lesser and lesser efforts, and we want at various points where already our existing teams are doing a lot of activity, we would not want to burden our existing people with more tasks and more compliance problems. Now, to reduce that, what we really can do is that as soon as the invoice is received at your gate or in your inbox, then it should be extracted using our intelligent document processing flow. Once it is extracted, it can seamlessly interact with the government systems as a background process to do a reconciliation between purchase order, GRNs, e-way bill data or IMS data, and flag only those invoices which are not matching. The ones that are matching can be automatically raised and go to your ERP and lie within your ERP and get parked as with a status of saying that it is already available to be posted in your system. Only the once there is some problem, the automatic communications can also be triggered to your vendors saying that whatever invoices there is some mistake should be corrected. This will ease a lot of to and fro that is currently happening between various organizations, a lot of communication lapses due to which we are not able to claim the ITC within the same return period. So data consistency is the only way to go about it, to bring more corrective measures and proactive measures towards our system. Although we can also look at it from other way around, wherein the data can be posted back first into your ERP and we can do the reconciliations later on like we are currently doing in our day-to-day activity. But obviously this is more of a reactive measure instead of a proactive measure. Now moving on, if we see on the supplier side, I've already emphasized a lot on the GSTR1A side. So there has to be more credibility from the seller or supplier end as well to support this system. So what we really need to do is also automate our GSTR1A side. So whenever the invoices get rejected and received from the IMS system, we got to automatically, once it is edited or rectified by the supplier, it can automatically go within your GSTR1 or GSTR1A depending upon what time of the month that we are at, and it can also interact with your ERP simultaneously to make sure that it is rectified within your ERP using a credit note, debit note or a journal voucher. Now we are not just looking at automating or incorporating our pointers within our procure to pay process flow, right? We are also looking at places or problems that we are facing within the GST notices area as well. So there has been, government has been providing heavy notices over a long period of time. These notices are enabling us to create more tedious tasks for all of us. So what we really need to do is create more centralized visibility. So that can be today be done because government has been, as we discussed earlier, the government is providing the APIs for it. It can also provide us, these tools can also, or AI can also provide us automatic, some automatic pre-draft templates which can, and automatic reminders which will reduce a lot of effort and burden on all of us. Finally, what we understand is in finance and taxation, there are large amount of unstructured paperwork that goes around. There are invoices, bills, shipping bills that are often received from in multiple formats and languages, which needs to be processed on a day-to-day basis. This is where I think AI has a great contribution to offer, where our intelligent document processing can add immense value to any of the unstructured documents that you might have in your system that needs processing and a lot of manual work that would require. This can also lead to creating more insights and visibility to the leadership instead of scrambling towards what is there in the system, what is not there in the system. Ultimately, obviously, what finance leaders need is clear visibility of what is happening within the organization. Now, to understand that, a finance leader can have on top of that simple AI-driven chat and voice assistants to ask questions like, what is the status of my ITC utilization versus liability for the month? Or what suppliers are causing the delay or compliance risk in my procure to pay cycle? And summarize the cash flow trends or anomalies from last quarter. I think with this, I would like to say that AI tools are reducing the manual effort and enabling us to be faster. So in the end, I would just like to conclude that AI is not here to replace all of us. It is here to help us and add that and aid us with the human touch that is there in the tax. It is just going to elevate the systems and not create any challenges for all of us. So we should adopt it today and adopt it fast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And ma'am, very well said that AI is to assist human because nothing can be possible without a human touch. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's give a huge round of applause. And may I invite Mr. Pawan Kumar. Sir, can we have you back on the dais to present a small token of appreciation to ma'am as well? So if you're around, please join in.